Hello and welcome back to another YouTube video and today's podcast of Delusional Chaos. We are going to be diving into the messy, chaotic journey of becoming me, and I'm going to give you guys some tips, some advice and some of my life experiences so you guys can find out the messy, chaotic evolution of me. But if you enjoyed today's video, then make sure you give it a like, comment and subscribe. And if you want more content just like this, then you can also check out my channel and subscribe for more content just like this. Let's just get into today's episode of Delusional Chaos. My first topic, I'm just gonna pick out from my notes the little things that I've written down about each topic, and I'm just going to go through them with you. So the first topic I have got for personal growth and identity is the messy middle, why growth never feels linear. So the notes that I've written down are: self-discovery is never easy. Your mind is your biggest tool, yet can be your biggest enemy. In life, the experience or journey is never smooth sailing, which is, in my opinion, why growth never feels linear. You and everything around you is constantly changing. From my experience with dealing with different mental illnesses, one day you can feel on top of the world and the next you can feel as though everything is over. Those moments shock you just like it did with me. In my darkest moments where I felt my lowest, I felt as though I'd never be able to escape the darkness. I really had to work hard to unlearn those dark thoughts and thought patterns. But in that unlearning, I had to experience not only the new light in my life, but struggles too. I realised my inner strength in those experiences. My inner strength and resilience is what got me through, and gentle parenting myself helped me heal too. I had to tell myself to do the things which kept my life afloat, but learn to balance that with my own way of resting and talking to myself like a friend. So what I mean by this is, in those dark moments, I really had to learn to teach myself self-love again and to really build up my confidence by gentle parenting and just reminding myself of my inner strength and my inner resilience. And that's obviously stuff that chaos has taught me, and I'm just going to carry on reading my notes. But all of these moments in my journey never felt linear because just in life there were constant up and downs. And to kind of summarize my notes from that, I'm basically trying to say that growth is never linear because life itself is never linear. Like, there is constant up and downs, and that is kind of the case with growth as well, because it just is this constant up and down, and there are going to be the very high highs, but there are also low lows which you need to be able to get to the high highs. And that's just something that I've learned, and that's just something I wanted to share with you guys. About the whole purpose of this podcast is that chaos isn't something to be afraid of. It's something that we can use to understand ourselves and to understand life and all the chaotic parts of it. But onto the next topic, which is how chaos forces you to confront parts of yourself that you didn't know were there. So, chaotic moments in my life, in my opinion, lead us to the person that we want to be. In day-to-day life, there can be lots of chaotic moments, such as waiting in a long queue or being late to something. But in those moments, we learn a lesson which helps us evolve. And I've adapted my way of thinking to that same ideal, that you can find a lesson in every experience. In a chaotic moment, it can unlock different parts of yourself as you are constantly learning and relearning different things. An example of this is when I had been struggling with panic attacks quite a lot, and I felt like that I would never be able to get them to stop. But with time and learning to cope with that inner chaos, I unlocked inner confidence. I unlocked not only the confidence that I felt that I had lost, but a stronger belief and sense at this time. Another chaotic but pivotal moment for me is being made homeless. Not having a stable place to sleep or keep your stuff really messes with you. Being a young girl, I was scared and anxious for what was next for me. In those moments, I had to learn how to survive by myself and learn to cope with the reality of adult life. This is how I believe chaos can not only bring out the dark sides of you, but brighter and stronger sides to you as well. And that's kind of all the notes that I have on that topic. But to kind of go into that a bit more, I feel like chaos definitely brings out different parts of you, which can obviously be positive. So like bringing back confidence that I had lost from dealing with anxiety and depression and low self-esteem. I had lost all of that confidence. So the chaos eventually ended up making me be able to see that part of myself, but it also did bring negative parts to myself, because obviously it's affected me and I've had to go through a lot and had to work extra hard to be able to be stable. And also it's obviously brought out some very negative parts of humanity, and I've seen the worst. I've seen how hard it is to struggle, and yeah, those are just parts of myself which I've had to learn to either cope or deal with, and also learn to love. So that's just that. And on to the next topic, which is shedding old versions of yourself. And this is just what I wrote for those topics. So, losing old versions of you can be tough or rewarding. I've grieved old versions of myself in my healing journey. I felt bad and sad about the versions of myself which was naive and innocent to the dark nature of humanity. I was quite a cautious but generally bubbly and confident child. I believed that I could do anything I put my mind to. When going through the toughest moments, from leaving my family home, going through toxic relationships, I lost that confidence and began to be controlled by anxiety. It wasn't easy grieving that version of me, as it wasn't a choice that I had to let go, but more of a product of what I'd been through. But I'd learned, like I've mentioned, that through it all, I'd learned a hell of a lot. And that's kind of all the notes I have written down from that. But just to kind of break that down, is that although healing can be very beneficial, and obviously it also does make you really reflect on the parts of yourself that you had to lose. And I obviously had quite a strong sense of belief from a young child, and I never really had like self-doubt. I mean, I had a bit of anxiety, like I was a bit cautious, but I genuinely did believe in myself, which I completely lost like as a teenager. And I think I had to really struggle with the grief of that, because I felt like it had been taken away from me, because I've had a lot of instability in my life, and I feel like that was just what caused me to lose that version of myself. Like, it wasn't me choosing to let that go, it was just kind of forced upon me, and I just became this different person. So that is just how chaos has made me grieve old versions of myself. And it's not exactly fun, but you also do realise that it's just all kind of part of life and all part of just learning to cope with your inner demons and, you know, those little negative thoughts and negative people. So yeah, that's that. and onto the next topic, which is identity as a constant evolution rather than a fixed point. So, identity is a constant evolution rather than a fixed point because things are constantly changing. We are faced with new things to deal with all the time at any age. I believe that we are mostly a product of our environment, the places that we grew up in, the parents we had, the friends we all have, all shape our identity and the reality of how we view things. Although there's a lot of things we can do to change parts of ourselves, some things can't be changed, and we have to learn to love all parts of ourselves, the past and the current versions. And that is all I have written for that topic, but just to kind of break that down more, it's more the fact of realizing that things are constantly changing, your identity is constantly changing, just like everything around you, and it's not like this fixed thing, so you're constantly evolving and you're constantly changing, and there is so much beauty in that as long as you realize that chaos is not always scary. Although it can be scary to deal with in the moment, a lot of the time it's for a bigger purpose, and that's just kind of the message I'm trying to portray from today's podcast. And that's just kind of what I want to do with my podcast in general, is just get a bigger message out there of people accepting themselves for who they are and how they can manage and get through that stuff, because I know there is a lot of help online, but I feel like there's a lot of things that people don't talk about and they don't really know how to deal with. And as somebody that has been through a lot of stuff, I definitely want to use it for my advantage, and I want to help little girls and little boys out there, or just anybody who's listening to this, feel a lot less alone, and just kind of create this community of people where we all just help each other. And yeah, that's kind of what I want to do. But moving on to the next topic. So, my next topic is external versus internal chaos. External chaos to me is the chaos which is happening around you. For example, troubles in your relationships, career, and life events. Internal chaos to me is the chaos happening inside you. For example, self-doubt and conflicting desires. The external chaos can have a massive effect on you internally. These external factors can lead to trauma and mental illness like anxiety, depression, and low esteem. You often mirror the environment that you are in, so if you're going through a tough time, this can really start to manifest internally. This is why you have to learn to sit with discomfort rather than control everything, because life will continue how it wants to around you, but you just have to remember that you can only control what you react to and how you view things. And to kind of summarize that topic, I kind of wanted to show how external and internal factors definitely play a part in your healing journey, who you are as a person, and your growth journey. Just because you are trying really hard doesn't mean that other things won't try and affect that, and you just kind of have to build up that resilience and inner strength to kind of remember that you have to sit with discomfort, and discomfort isn't always bad. Although it feels uncomfortable, obviously, it usually is, again, for a greater purpose and for you to learn a lesson from it. So, to kind of round off today's podcast, I wanted to give you guys some practical reflections. So, things that you can do to help you and to help you through your identity crisis or your personal growth journey. And I just wanted to show that there are things that you can do which can help. So, How can you navigate identity shifts when others resist your growth? So, my first tip is give yourself grace and kindness that others don't, as you're the person who has to live with it. So what I mean by this is when you are surrounded by a lot of negative people, or you have quite a negative thought process like me, I would suggest that you talk to yourself as if you were your best friend, or you talk to yourself as if you are a child again, and you have to kind of see that inner child in yourself and just be like, I love you and I'm going to do this for you. And you kind of have to teach yourself that you're the main person and you've got to go through everything. So you have to try your hardest to be able to manage and to be able to deal with everything. So that's just kind of my first tip for how to deal with negative people around you. And my second tip is keeping focused on the bigger picture, your goals and dreams. Other people's opinions can alter them. So what I mean by this is if you're very focused on your goals, you know, you're focusing on you, you're not focusing on other people, then it really helps you put your priorities straight of what makes you happy, what makes you inspired, and it can just help you reach your goals even better because you're not focused on other people and their negative energy. You're just focusing on what's benefiting you, and that can obviously help you build your confidence up over time and can help you just feel a more sense of achievement because you're actually achieving your goals rather than focusing on the people's opinions. So that is definitely a good tip of mine. And the next one is keep doing self-care activity, whatever makes you happy or makes you feel motivated. So a couple examples of what makes me feel motivated or makes me feel happy is doing my skincare and just, you know, making sure that I'm keeping on top of my health and going on little walks and making sure I'm doing like a little bit of gaming and I'm, you know, doing some research and I'm doing my videos and I'm keeping my brain active. But then I'm also letting myself have those chill moments because one thing that I've really had to learn is to balance things out because I'm just such a go, go, go person because I feel like things aren't going to happen for me if I don't go, go, go. But sometimes you do have to remember self-care is slowing down as well. So that is my 3 tips for how you can navigate identity shifts when other people resist your growth. So on to more things that can help you when you're on your healing journey is journaling, self-reflection and creativity are all outlets which can help you make sense of chaos. It takes the thoughts in your head or the focus off what you're going through and puts it into another creative form. It puts things into a different perspective and gives you a way to manage chaos. So what I mean by this, as I'm going to break it down further, is the fact that journaling and self-reflecting really puts things like into a different perspective because it's not just all jumbled in your head. You have it down like on paper, and that can really help me like break down how I'm feeling, what things are triggering me specifically, and then I can also take them out of my mind, and I've gotten it out and it's helped me process and deal with that a lot more better. But another way is like creativity is just like taking that anger, taking that pain and putting it into a creative outlet like painting or drawing or whatever that is for you. But those are my tips for helping you get through your self-healing journey. But that is the end of today's video. But to summarize the video It's important to remember that healing is a process, not a destination. And my question to round off today's video is, what chaos in your life is shaping you right now? And that is the end of the third episode of Delusional Chaos, and I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comment section below. And remember that you can like and subscribe for more content just like this. Until then, stay delusional, embrace the chaos, and I will see you again in the next episode. Love you. Bye.